Yep, I wish it was clickbait, but take a look at that. But, all right, so now you're probably wondering what in the world happened. Well, I went to get the car safetied and certified, which it passed flawlessly, I might add. And while I was in there, I thought, hey, why not pressure check the AC system and let's get it filled up and see if the AC works. And in the process of doing that, the guy who was working there, who is someone who I know and loves cars and has been in the industry for 30 years and is very knowledgeable, was moving the cart around and he snagged something on the floor and scratched that front of the hood while it was in the open position and kind of sticks out on the front. He was gutted, obviously, as was I, and I have since taken the hood off, shipped it back to the painters to get it resprayed and fixed, and obviously he was super cool about it and just gutted and told me he was going to cover the cost. However, it's not all bad news, because while fixing the AC system, we realized it holds pressure and it blows ice cold. So win-win, the AC is done and it's fixed. There was some huge cracks that they found in the tires, which had developed over the last 2 years that it had been sitting here in the garage and that I've been working on it. Those were just a safety hazard waiting to blow up driving down the highway. So I fixed those. I bought a brand new set of 4 15-inch all seasons. I had to go for the 215 size. Anybody who has an E34 knows the 225 15-inch tires are just completely out of stock, and if you can find them, they're like $1,000, which is insane. So I just got a 215 with generic, some Chinese all-season. Doesn't matter. They drive beautifully. There is one other piece that is still nagging me, though, and there is a check engine light, and the code that I get is a lean or rich mixture. I thought for sure it's a vacuum leak in the intake, so that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to hook it up to a smoke machine. I built a DIY one. I'm not going to show the video. I'll put a link in the description of how you can do that, and we're going to test it out and see what's going on with the vacuum. Let's go. By the way, here's my DIY smoke machine. I've got baby oil and a cotton rag in there. I've got that hooked up to a bicycle pump and a tube that comes here to the intake manifold kind of intake tube. I've sealed this up with some rubberized tape so it's nice and flush. And then once that gets filled up with smoke, pump the bicycle pump. That drives air into the intake manifold, and we're going to test to see if there's any more leaks. Look at that along here. That's smoking like a 1960s James Bond movie. Zero pressure here on the back of the intake manifold. All the air is just blowing straight out. And this cap here, the rubber was all cracked, so I'm pretty sure that's letting go of some air. So the good news is I don't think I need to replace the entire diaphragm. I need this cap, and I need the rubber seal that goes around the PCV valve. As you can see down there, it's a little bit oily, which means telltale sign that thing's not holding pressure like it should. What I'm going to try and do is sneak in some T30s, I think, back here. There's a few of these bolts. There's some very notoriously difficult ones down there. And just take this very, very gently, because I do not want this snapping or stripping on me. All right, enough inhalation for one night. These actually weren't too bad. Spray some penetrating fluid in there beforehand, just to be sure. Am I missing one? That's the question. There might be one down here. Are we in? There we go. There's the last one. There it is. The PCV valve. The infamous PCV valve. Luckily, actually, it doesn't look like this thing is completely torn. Yeah, the diaphragm is still intact. It is like all these little pieces here have completely hardened and cracked off. It's debatable how well this is working. So I bought a new one. We're going to change it preventatively just because I don't want any hassles. And, you know, while you're in here, this is like 25-year-old rubber and plastic. Probably should change it anyway. So let's get a new one in here. All right, take a look at the difference between the old one. Here it is. And here's the new one. The new one, nice and pliable, soft rubber. The old one, cracking, disintegrated, formerly identified as rubber, now just useless hard plastic. So no wonder this thing was leaking like a sieve. This is going to run much, much smoother. Next steps, I've got the gasket back in here, nice and snug. And what you want to do is make sure that this pipe, which is like a breather pipe going all the way down through here into somewhere deep in there, basically. It connects inside the head of the engine. There's like an oil pressure regulator pipe. So that thing, you got to make sure it's plugged in nice and snug. Now let's put the new PCV valve in. And here what it looks like when it's finally all buttoned up. Let's put the rest back on, put this cooling reservoir back on, fire it up, see how she runs. Moment of truth, let's see how she runs. All right, I'm gonna let this run for a good 20 minutes, get it nice and toasty, then rev it, see if it gets, let's see if that check engine light comes back. All right, happy to report after about 20 minutes of idling and revving, no check engine lights returned. Engine is running beautifully. So there we have it, fixed the vacuum leak, and guess who what came back? The hood is back from the body shop, looking perfect, spick and spam. Can never tell that anything happened here, and because the entire car just got repainted by the same guy, the color match is bueno. That's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. We're going to do a final drive, and I'm also going to do a cost breakdown video, so look out for that. Till then, ciao.